for Monki. Not only are they comfort picks and champions that he is used to playing, but also they're just really good at having that backline access. I feel like Elk is probably going to go for something that needs the space in order to really thrive. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, because he was the big target of game number 1. They constantly bullied him. So if Weibo can look to play around bot lane this time a little bit more proactively and unlock Elk, then
it has to be Ezreal. Ezreal is let through. You grab this, I feel like 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, no, I like, you could do the Caitlyn if you were thinking about pairing it up with
champion.
Yeah, why not? Bard hover here for the Hank. So
it has been like first pick red side for a lot of games, but the Ezreal will be there, so they're going to give Elk his carry. And come at me with all your bans, says Elk, has 380 carries banned in the first phase by WE. He still finds the one that he's probably most comfortable on.
And so now, I mean, Ezreal not really a champion that has like a ton of really insane counters in the bot lane. That's why he's so good, is because a lot of the matchups that are meta right now, usually Ezreal isn't like hard losing in them. So denying a pairing is probably the next best thing to that. Bard is the best thing, I would say, that is still available, given that Karma is taken away. Maybe this leads to a Nico possibility from the Hank, as I think that is a pretty good 2v2. And given that Bard is a champion that wants to roam, maybe you get just constant 2v1 pressure with that. But then we see Weibo on the other side, going to go for the Pantheon and the Annie. So really good lockdown, really good setup for Elk in these team fights. But crucially, having that Grand Starfall and that global pressure, WE, we've seen some teams respond to this by like other champions with global pressure. JDG in particular have like the Twisted Fate, but without that Nocturne, I feel like that usual answer or that usual response to Pantheon is no longer available, and you will not be able to match them in the global pressure. So having the Lee Sin to just have that early game presence like we saw in game number 1 seems like what they're going to be going for.
Back to the Annie Pantheon point, Weibo are just saying we're going to win this series through mid jungle. Like, they are just going for full setup tools from this duo, and rightfully so, some of the most experienced members on the team, obviously, but it's something that allows the Hank to take a little bit of an ease off, right? There is this tried and true combo that they can go through for Weibo, and the CC Cheney is going to be immaculate. The Lee Sin, though, as you said, giving some versatility to Monki, and as we go into the second phase of bans, we get more bot lane bans, but this time towards support for WE, as they ban away the Nautilus and that Seraphine. So far, the Jhin and the Sivir going to be banned away by Weibo.
And I feel like now we just need to give setup over to Monki. We saw him play this Lee Sin yesterday against IG to great efficiency, managed to give them one of their wins in that series. So Renekton still on the board, could maybe give you that much needed lockdown along with the Rise for you to land those Qs. But right now we're going to be hovering the AD carry. So I like Caitlyn more than Misfortune. I don't feel like you've got set up enough to really make use of that bullet time. There is also just a lot of lockdown from Weibo that can interrupt that bullet time. So yeah, Caitlyn I think is a better answer, just to match the range of the Ezreal in the fight as well. Not really confident in the Bard pairing completely. The Tempered Fate obviously does give you ample time to set up a trap and really get like a big burst combo on this champion, but I feel like all of that setup, really, I'm just looking at it in regards to how it's going to play around this Lee Sin, because this is the big X factor that Team WE have to be centered around, especially in that early game. And that Renekton that we talked about, Mazel, just going to be denied here. I think that this is a beautiful denial, and Gnar is open, so you do have a good lane counter, but the lockdown, especially in mini, you're going to be trading one thing for another, and WE kind of found themselves in this predicament last game with the Nami Corki being denied by Weibo as well.
Most comfort champ for Cube going to be coming out again. The Cassante locked in, but going back to the point of the Nico, it's super important to highlight the Hank. You know, a bit of a comfort, at least on paper, for him here, and gonna have a large influence on how engages, or at least counter engages, are picked up by Weibo.
Yeah, like we saw the Hank in the tape that we have, like he was playing in initiation supports, right? And I feel like Nico is probably, in the meta of like enchanter supports, I would say Nico is probably the closest thing you have to a fight starter as far as enchanters go, just because you've got that Pot Blossom plus the Proto Belt, the ability to really start up a fight. It is there for the Hank. So if he has that keen killer instinct eye that we saw from him earlier in last year when he was on BLG Juniors, maybe we can really see this guy pop off. And that's kind of what is going to be required of him. I felt like the Hank was pretty invisible in the early stages of game number 1. So if he can make his presence more known on the Nico, even if it's just poking with Elk, I feel like this will be a better game for Weibo, at least as far as the bot side goes, because this top side is pretty stable. I think really the only area of attack available for Team WE is going to be that mid lane on the Annie, just because she's immobile, and if you burn that flash, does create an easy target for the Lee Sin.
And I mean, I know it's the center of the meta right now, but jungle is also so important in this one when you're looking at Pantheon getting active, when you're looking at Lee Sin getting active on the map, getting leads for their teams. It's going to start in jungle. Game 2 between WE and Weibo Gaming starting now. Erha. It's a flash burned already. Gets another Q over the wall, but nobody going to follow through with their own flashes. Just willing to get that burn out of the bot lane.
How dare you interrupt the Jiejos? That's sacrilege right there. But we are going to see, yeah, like you said, that burst coming out. So Erha forced to burn that summoner spell early. Maybe does give an easy target over to Jiejie, as we see the Pantheon is pathing bot. Both junglers, in fact, are clearing on opposite sides of one another. So maybe this opens up the door for Monki to look for an early invade as well. We see him pathing down and immediately crossing over to the river. So he is going to actually look for an early invade. Circumvents the vision that Weibo have laid down. They have no idea that he's doing this.
Yeah, they think he's pathing down towards the bot side with the red clear, but he will be stealing away a little bit there. That's huge. Also, little things before we get too far into it. Some of the rune choices, the electrocute coming through for Xiaohu. I know we've seen some dipping into the Deathfire, but not going to be the case there. On the other side, though, Karis on the rise will be rocking that new rune.
Yeah, so we at least get a little bit of Deathfire representation here, but I am continuing to keep my eye on Monki. We see he's going to get level 3 off this Gromp, and that does open up the door for an early gank. We saw this last game, and Monki just really does not like Elk.
Yeah, hey, if there's going to be one person I would target early, it would be Elk to get him as far behind as possible, because you saw last game, he still came back. They have no idea this is coming. As no, Sonic Wave goes wide, and Monki won't be able to find what he was looking for. But now it will be Jiejie that has the information. The rest of his bot side is probably gone.
Bit of an awkward gank coming through there for Monki. Does he go for the
counter?
I think he is. I mean, he's got the red buff available, so that advantage is there for him at least. He's also got a health bar advantage, which is extremely crucial. Monki is going to go on to the Krugs. We'll be able to heal up a little bit, but Jiejie, if Xiaohu can move, will have access to that Annie. And again, double point and click CC is super valuable in the early game. So I think Monki, rightfully so, isn't going to mess with that. Knows that Karis doesn't really have the opportunity to move. No one on this bot side really has the opportunity to move. He's just going to look for a cross map and go for the crab. So bit of a disappointing start for the Lee Sin that we said needed to get ahead here, Mazel.
Double reds and double blues. Won't be having the counter buffs here just yet, but we will get the Scuttle Crab trades. I really love some of the pressure that Xiaohu is putting on Karis in the mid lane right now. Obviously, he still has some good trading power in the earlier game as Annie. As Monki's going to go back over, will be spotted. So some information going the way of Weibo, but with this pressure in mid lane, I feel like Jiejie has so many more options on where he can path further on into the game.
And Jiejie, especially with the priority, I think, is going to be getting that. We see Zika is pushing and shoving that wave under the Tower of Cubes, so he's actually just going to continue looking for these invades. He pinged it earlier. Yeah, he has access to his soul laners being able to link up with him, so why shouldn't he make this move? I mean, Monki's camps are really disjointed on the respawns, so this is just going to set him further and further behind. This Lee Sin is off to a really rough start here, Lennon.
Love some of this team play by Weibo, though. That's going to feel so good. The back is going to be completed for the top trio. TP is going to be coming back out to the solo lanes, and the redeploys from the jungle, at least from Jiejie, back down towards bot lane. There is some potential for at least a defensive gank, or at least a gank on the bot side for Weibo if they want, with some of the pushing that About is doing. But I love this as well. Erha trying to get active on the map, trying to find these first roams as Bard, which is such an unlocking moment for the pick, but also for the comp of WE.
About is capable of playing plenty safe to where he can 1v2. Yeah, so is looking for those roams like you said, but I think some people maybe were confused about me saying like Jiejie is in a really good spot and Monki is a little bit behind, as Tibbers is going to chunk out Karis. And the reason for that is, look at Jiejie's camps. They're all respawning, and then look at Monki's jungle. None of his camps are respawning. So Jiejie's going to reset and come back to a full clear. Meanwhile, Monki has to make this gank happen on the bot side.
Elk still has flash. He's going to burn it preemptively. Really nice utilization there just to make sure there was no funny business to be had. Monki not going to be level 6 just yet, and that is an unlocking moment for the Lee Sin, but still trying to put some pressure out nonetheless.
They see Jiejie on that ward, so they're actually going to stick around on this bot side. Monki might even start up the dragon here, even though Karis is pretty significantly chunked out, and Annie could easily move first. Jiejie just on that top side. It's going to be a green light for him as Zika pops the Dominus Cube. Should be fine.
And take a pretty healthy chunk of damage here.
Or
Another
not.
CC is coming up here. Zika was thinking about going for it. The shield and dash is going to be there from Cube. And there is no response from Weibo on the bot side of the map. So that dragon will just be silently taken by Monki. That's going to be a little bit of gold back in the pocket of WE. They're going to try to go for a dive here. It is a Cassante who has the all-out. You got to be very careful. They're trying to CC chain it down now. He's going to shield, but they realize they can't really take him down. Oh, the flash play from Jiejie. It was not enough. Flash from Cube, and my eyes might just be bleeding, as Realm Warp's going to be used now to try to capitalize on the back end of this fight. Jiejie and Zika, he's going to just give his life. Jiejie does sacrifice himself. First blood for WE.
And I mean, there's the gold for Monki. Finally manages to get some payment. The early game was a little bit stifled from a guy who has historically made so much proactivity happen for his team, but he finally manages to make something happen. But it feels like it's just off the mistake from Weibo rather than WE actually looking for a play. They look for this dive. The dragon being taken is kind of like the bat signal. They're like, okay, Lee Sin is on the bot side. We can make this dive happen, but Cube plays it really well. Cassante manages to dodge, skip, and slash away from danger, and then the Realm Warp. 3 members come through, and now back to live.
And now
Zika's in trouble.
Zika's dead. The Dragon Rage kick to finish it off, and Monki gets another kill for WE. We're starting off just like last game, Quax.
We are a little bit delayed, and certainly not as clean as game number 1 for the jungler of Team WE, but hey, you're making it happen, and now we've got Grubs coming up in about 20 seconds. Monki is going to stay on the map, I would imagine, and with the priority that Wave shoved up on the top side, this should give Lee Sin the priority necessary in order to go for that objective. So Drake plus Grubs, WE are off to an early neutral objective lead. That does set them up nicely in these first few minutes of the game, but again, it's not the concern about the early game that we have for Team WE, it's the mid and late game. Yeah. And I feel like those mid and late game threats, you got to look at this bot side. Karis and About so far haven't had anything too rough happen. They've kept up in CS relative to their counterparts, but I'll certainly be periodically checking in on those breakpoints from here on out.
Another invade from Jiejie. We'll realize the clear is coming through from Monki, so he'll be okay for now. The Grubs are on the other side of the map, and we've seen, some later progress on the Grubs as well, and neither jungler really going to put themselves up on that side of the map for now either. So that objective is going to sit by the wayside. Still a little while to that dragon, but could see an opportunity to trade those objectives if the Grubs do stay alive.
I think the reason why Monki isn't immediately going for the Grubs is because he finishes his bot side. He's going to reset, get his first item, and then we'll have that advantage going into the fight. But then recall is canceled. Jiejie's actually crossing over. He's going to be spotted on vision, but Monki might legitimately be too late. The wave is bounced back and top as well, so Cassante can't really be the interrupt guy on that objective.
Erha.
Really good timing window.
Erha is going to make his way up here as well, try to support Cube. Cube going to get all outed, but trying to flash away. Does not get the Q3 here from Cube. but it does mean the pressure is there, so Jiejie has to back off of the grubs. He was able to get one. There's going to be the Tempered Fate on the Xiaohu. Xiaohu getting the flash through. Pop Blossom coming from the Hank, the new member of Weibo Gaming, making the first impactful play for the team. It will be an insta-trade back as Monki was able to get the kill onto the Hank, and it's still a tussle over the grubs.
It's a 3v2 at the current moment. Zika is going to clear out his top side before joining up with the rest of the team, but they just don't feel confident, actually, to fight for this. I mean, Monkey's got that item advantage, so I guess that's enough to scare Weibo away from actually wanting to fight this Lee Sin, who is now 3-0 Mazel, off to an incredible start here. And so it will be 2 grubs given over to Team WE. I want to see how this fight actually started, because
Xiaohu's got moves, man. Watch this flash.
So they get the stun up onto Xiaohu, but then, yeah, the Hank with that clutch engage factor. We talked about it as being something to look out for from his days on BLG Jr., and he manages to make it shine through here. Still not enough to get the objective, though. WE get the 2 grubs. Now Monkey's going to cross over mid, gain control of this river, and Weibo, without their first item breakpoints yet, aren't going to feel comfortable really trying to contest him here.
Monki exerting some of his presence on the bot side as well. He does have that Sundered Sky already, and that's going to feel really good for some of the skirmish prowess of the Lee Sin. And this has just been a jungle kerfuffle here. They're just trading everywhere. There are invades coming out left and right. There's all these camps stolen away, and still a pretty dead even game between the two, except for all the kills that Monki has been able to secure so far. Dragon is up. A lot of presence and vision from WE on that bot side.
Yep, and Drake is available, but all of WE are looking to get resets, right? Now that the objective is up, this feels like a bit of a disjointed back timer for them, and that means they're not going to be fully grouped up around this Dragon. Weibo should actually be favored to get this objective, so they'll get the Dragon. Really good timing there for WBG. A bit of mismanaged timing there for Team WE, but now Karis is potentially looking for a cross map onto Zika, but that Croc with the Dominus is not to be trifled with, and they're going to end up getting nothing here so far, Mazel. I do want to say, it is nice, especially as a jungler, in games like this, you really are thankful for having a Bard on your team. When you're ahead as a jungler, and a mobile and aggressive one like Lee Sin at that, having a Bard in your back pocket is amazing. Just to follow up with a lot of your plays and be active around the map. This is the pick that can really take Monki from being ahead in the early game to maintaining that lead after around the 15-minute mark, when the champion historically falls off.
See how that progression goes down. Still looking for some side lane picks or any pick potential from Jiejie as well on the Pantheon, but when we're looking at scaling factors in both teams, again, just like in game number 1, they have options as time goes on.
They do, and I feel like one of the options for Weibo and those scaling factors that you talk about is absolutely Elk, but seeing a lot of pings toward the bot side. Monki, I think, is making it apparent that he wants to at least try and bully Elk, so they're going to be zoned off of that tower for now, not really able to play up toward the minion wave. And even when he's not looking for ganks, like, he is still applying pressure onto the bot side. If Team WE can slowly but surely just take away these resources from Ezreal, delay that 2 to 3 item power spike of the champion, they should set themselves up for some timers where they can have those item advantages and look for the more crucial fights going forward. Nothing too crucial, though, is going to happen. I mean, in about 3 minutes, a Dragon will spawn. That'll only be the second for the team that gets it.
I've really appreciated the vision game so far in this one.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's been so much information that is so quintessential to how they're playing these fights. Oh, I think they need a little bit more vision there, though. There's going to be the Hank selling pro plays and pro play accessories. That's going to be Monki trying to get away, too. He does find it. He's got the mechanic. Grand Starfall goes completely wide. That might have hit my fridge as Monki is trying to find an exit strat now. We'll have the lockdown. Hank is trying to get him now, too. And it's going to be Elf that gets the kill with the Mystic Shot. Erha gets through the wall, but he goes short. It doesn't go all the way through. Now Erha is going to be forced to flash away, but the Tangle Barms arrives. It's going to be the chain CC that's not there for Weibo. They find the pick at least on the Monki.
Yeah, I mean, Monki cosplaying a little bit as as Roadrunner there forces Weibo to go on a bit of a goose chase to find it, but they eventually do, and Elk picks up his first kill of the game, so I believe he will be able to get his first item after farming up a couple of waves. He certainly will have his first item by the time this dragon spawns, which will be pretty crucial for Weibo, as if they can get 2 Drakes, it gives more time and a little bit more leeway for them to play the map right. They don't necessarily have to worry about Team WE getting the Drake Soul. And just as long as you're able to stall out the game, the longer this game goes, the more Elk is going to thrive. And so if you can stall out the Drake Soul win con as long as possible, that is something that deeply favors the Ezreal.
Got some interesting lane assignments coming out from Weibo as they deploy Zika down towards Karis. It's going to be the deploy of Xiaohu up towards Cube. So trying to take advantage of these side lanes a little bit now as Zika going to go all in on the Karis. He's going to get locked down and some damage traded right back there, but we will get the reassignment of the bot lanes towards mid, and About has already been doing some siege to the mid outer turret.
Herald is up. Elk now, like you said, the assignments have been rearranged here, and the Ezreal does have his Triforce. So this could be a timer where Weibo look to play a bit more aggressively, but even though he went down, Monki is still very strong. So you do have to be very mindful of this Ezreal and any flank angles he might be looking for onto Elk, because even though he's got that Arcane Shift, he doesn't have Flash. So he's got to be very mindful about how he actually uses that one gap closer remaining. If he uses it unwisely, Monki is easily going to have the ability to use that mobility to look onto him. So yeah, both teams are not going to be too testy about that now, and instead just going to wait for the dragon in a little less than 30 seconds here, Mazel.
I'm curious about these latest items because unfortunately Zika was just getting pounded in the bot lane, couldn't even get the defense of the turret, and the turret does fall, and that's first turret to WE, who now have a decent lead and are going to reset for this potential dragon fight. Tempered Fate goes a little bit wide there from Erha. He's going to get locked down too, and the Hank has the perfect rebuttal back. He's going to go down, but so will Erha. Now Jiejie on the wrong side of the tracks will also be taken out by Monki, who is now 5-1 on the Lee Sin.
The Hank was schmoving in that fight, dodging a lot of spells and managing to get some form of engage there for Weibo, but unfortunately WE were just faster on the response. Monki gets the kick and they take down Jiejie, and now Zika is completely isolated.
He's going to TP out. Is it enough? Oh, he gets away. The ace in the hole was there, but it was not soon enough. And now he's going to Dominus in the top side. He was thinking about taking the engage on the Q, but it'll be a turret in response here, and that's WE getting the dragon.
Yep, so going to be able to secure the second one. Like you said, it's the turret on the top side that gets claimed. Weibo with control over that top side may look to just get vision around the Herald, but we'll have to check back in on that with live. Hank uses the Proto Belt, dodges out on the Q from Monki, gets the Pop Blossom off, and even after all of that, he goes down. It's a 1 for 2. That's a little bit sad, honestly. Hank played that really well, and they still lost the trade. But in terms of objectives, they went even. We saw back on live that Weibo actually did go for the Herald, so Herald for second dragon is not bad, certainly for Weibo.
Jiejie needs to be careful here, as Monki is going to be back on the map now, and he's on 5 kills already on the Lee Sin. Lee Sin's been rising back in popularity in the meta, but not only that, Karis has been untouched, getting assists, and is now on 2 stacking, scaling items, but the Seraph's already completed.
Yeah, I mean, to a lesser extent, About is also getting closer and closer to his second item. He has that Cull completed as well, so is probably, I would imagine, sitting on a pretty sizable sum of gold. We'll have to see what he does or what he buys on his next spec. But yeah, the scaling threats for Team WE are starting to really come online, and it feels like Weibo have only really one scaling threat, and that's Elk. And while he is in a decent position, this is something that I talked about with Slayer when we were casting, and as pertains to scaling threats, like 3 scaling threats, or 2 scaling threats, I guess, beats 1 scaling threat, right? 2 is a bigger number than 1.
Nice. That's math right there for you.
I know.
Impressive.
Very advanced, too.
Yeah. But this game has been completely around the mid jungle, and that's who, you know, we were focusing coming in the draft for Weibo, but it's really been WE's mid jungle that has been performing extremely efficiently here. And now they're going to try to go towards this top side, take down the outer turret here, potentially, as they're going to leave Karis to his own dues. Xiaohu, he found himself on the other side of Cube, and side lane Goat is in need of extract. Oh, the sidestep. Oh, the tibbers. The grand starfall. There's the extract, and the flashes come through. Cube gets still locked down. Flash from Jiejie. Do they have the execute? It's going to be enough. They find the play.
I actually did not think they would have enough damage. Cube goes down. The Merc Treads are not enough to save you from the burst of the Annie. Now they're going to pop the Herald. They're going to at least get this turret, but WE want to respond. Good Temper's Fate.
Nice block. Yeah, and now they are in some deep, deep trouble. They're just going to try to go for the kill on a Monki, try to get the shutdown here, but he's just dashing and going all over the place, healing up too from the lifesteal, kicking Jiejie back, who goes under turret to try to finally get this last hit of the turret. Gonna take the Rift Herald, and he's got an exit. Do they get the Rift Herald, though? Killed in the end. It's dashing.
No!
Oh, Karis gets the kill in the end. About in some trouble in mid lane. Just gets ruthlessly predatored by Zika, and a TP now coming in from Cube.
Cube won't be able to respond or get any subsequent kills, but just big cross-map plays being made on both sides, Mazel. But crucially, Karis is going to be left alone to his own devices here on the bot lane, so he'll at least be able to farm up a wave and a couple of plates on top of the kill gold, highlighting this Ryzen and talking about how he's got these scaling items. He's going to get even more accelerated ahead of this dragon in a little less than a minute and a half, so these threats are starting to really compile and compound on the side of Team WE, and Weibo, I just feel, don't have the same amount of firepower going into this Drake. This might be a soul point once again for Team WE.
Could be okay with giving that as long as they feel like 5 minutes will be enough time to get ready for the soul fight. Don't know if it's going to be enough. We take a look at the replay here, and Jiejie have a little bit of fun with it, almost finding the exit, and they almost actually got the kill back on a Monki too.
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty well played. Monki gets taken down really low, but Sundered Sky is unfortunately an item in League of Legends, does keep him alive, and I mean, Jiejie, respect for trying to use the Herald to get out here, but unfortunately isn't able to do so. Monki actually goes back in to help try and kill it.
What? That hits? No way.
So.
Refs.
Nope.
No refs. About 20 seconds till this next dragon. Again, like you were saying, there is still positioning from Weibo down towards this boss, so they might just be looking to contest it.
WE, though, I feel are walking into this fight way stronger. Karis is accelerated. About, I believe, is on 2 items, so Caitlyn is really strong too, and then not to mention Monki has been strong this entire game. We talked about the concern of Lee Sin being able to keep relevancy past the early game, and so far he has, with some really crucial kicks. Has been looking for a lot of nice isolated targets on the side of Weibo, so they're going to be the ones to start up the dragon, but how long can they realistically take control and keep control of this river? Oh, wait, there's no TP from Sunday,
yeah,
actually.
Cube has to walk if he's going to. They're just going to give it and take Prio over the turrets. They're going to try to push into tier 2 in both mid and top, giving over the dragon, evening things up, and giving Weibo more time to scale.
And this is really big for Elk. I mean, he's hit his 2-item power spike, so this is when the Ezreal is going to start dealing a lot more damage. And from here on out, it's really all about utility and being able to you know, get things like the Shojin to reduce cooldowns.
He's got the double tier build too.
Yeah. WE are actually just starting up the Baron, though. They are not happy about giving up that dragon. They just want to one-shot this thing, but they're not confident enough. A blue ward is going to spot the regen on the Baron, so they're going to get off that. They look for a cross-net play, doesn't go through. They still are pretty ahead in this game, though. So even though they lose the dragon, they still will, I think, if a fight breaks out, be in favor to win that one.
We got to think about last game. They were in a very similar position last game, and things did not go the way they had planned. Weibo still keeping their heads in the games. We know that from the first game of the series, and they're going to start fighting back a little bit, it feels like, especially with some of these in-between moments getting a little bit more tense ahead of the objectives. Big picks matter a lot. Xiaohu starting to be a little bit more active here, but I'm still looking for the big catch out in the sides from Jiejie. They were able to pull it off a little bit on bot lane, but that is an efficient strategy for Weibo to try to chunk back this lead.
They managed to do it onto Cube not long ago, but this is like always the moment as like a WE fan where you kind of have to hold your breath, right? Because we've seen this song and dance before. A good early game, consistent late game setup, like good map control. A couple of fights go awry and you suddenly are on the back foot of the game. It's like clockwork. It's like poetry. It rhymes. It happens so often. And Weibo are setting up Elk to be a monster. They've got the second dragon. They've delayed the soul by at least 10 more minutes. And that is going to be plenty of time for the Ezreal to start really racking up items under his belt. And like you said, it's the double tier build as well. So he'll be able to really thrive in those extended trades and those extended fights as well. So I feel like it's just going to come down to execution.
Things. Yeah. And again, some big comforts, at least when you're talking about Elk on his Ezreal. And we'll see what About can do in these later fights, but I think some good damage is going to need to be had. At least the consistent sustained damage from WE, from About. But Monki, man, he's been the star of the show. The Lee Sin comes out. He just takes the game by his own hand. And so far, he's had the leading role here on the Rift for Game 2.
Yeah, he really has. And now he's got the Death Stance, so a little bit more survivability in these fights. It really feels like we're gearing up for fights to last like 30 seconds at this point, Mazel. Everyone is really just preparing, at least item-wise, for some really elongated team fights. As we do see some movement on the top side, but it looks like Weibo will have access to the Empowered Crab.
Tempered Fade. TP's on the back end. Look at the deep TP now from Karis,
though. They got him!
It's going to be the kick combo. Elk is just going to be taken out by Monki. That's a big pick. Now the Hank is getting low as well. He'll be traded for About. It'll be a quick trade now, though. They got to be careful. They got to get out. WE are trying to chase them down. It's actually Monki who takes some pit stops there for the jungle camps. Going to steal even more away from Jiejie. And they're going to try to push in this mid lane, too.
Yep, Monki is zoning them away from having access to that mid lane, so they're going to have to go all the way around. With the Crystalline Overgrowth, this should be plenty of time for them to take down this tier 2 turret. So WE get their reward for the fight. They get their reward for getting a pick onto Elk, and I really want to see, actually, how Monki positioned himself there, because it has to feel extra bad for Weibo, because they got the vision from the Crab, and they still saw their ADC was getting flanked. Like, they witnessed that from its inception. They do manage to get the return kill onto About. The chase down doesn't end up being successful. We won't get a look at how Monki actually found himself to get that flank, so that's a little bit sad. But back to live
I saw him go over the wall behind the Baron pit, which is just insane.
Yeah, and then Karis went for a Realm Warp, but now dragging up in a little less than 30, WE with about a 3.4k gold lead over Weibo and control of the river. Whoever gets this will get Soul Point, and if they win the fight heavy enough, they could go on to the Baron. So extra consequences for Weibo if they don't execute on this fight. Extra consequences for WE if they don't either.
Things have been building up for WE. They found their first game win. Then they found their first series win.
Now
they're looking to take it to Weibo. It's a nice precipice to be on for game number 2, but they got to be careful not to fall. Monki's still looking for an angle here. Can go in. He's not willing to. Not going to look for it. Okay. Might go for another option. Karis going to lock down Zika. Zika's getting a little bit low. Xiaohu was not involved there at all. The Tibbers was thrown in, but that was it. WE still standing strong over this barrier that they're creating before the dragon.
Plenty of combat ultimates still available for WE as well. Tibbers was burned, Grand Starfall was burned, Dominus burned. All of the crucial R keys, I would say, for WBG are no longer available. They still have the fight starter of the Pop Blossom, but it is super risky with the Dragon's Kick being available for Monki. He can just kind of eject the Hank from the fight if he catches him out there. So WE are going to get the Dragon. They will be the ones with Soul Point, and it was a good attempt by Weibo to look onto Karis and try and burst down the Rise, but the flash, the reaction time from the mid laner of Team WE, just quick enough to avoid the chain CC and the chain burst from Weibo.
And if you're just looking at mid lane, I mean, Karis had an impeccable game in game number 1 until it didn't happen for them. And now he's having another game where he's up 3.2k in the solo matchup, and he's almost on 4 items now.
Yep. This is what happens when your champion scales instead of snowballs, Karis. You get a more reliable late game, as he has been extremely reliable in this game, has yet to die either. So there is a lot of value in this Rise. There's that gold bounty you can see. But
ulti traded between the ADs.
It's now really difficult for Weibo to actually get a pick onto this Rise. Like, obviously he burns flash, but he's really tanky. He's got the arm guard, he's got the health from the Roa, he's also got the Seraph shield. Like, it is no easy task bursting down Karis. Is now Elk is isolated, forced to use the arcane shift.
He's running, man. He's running for the hills, but he's running to his death. Oh, what a catch, and a beautiful insect from Monki. Unfortunately delivers Zika straight to the back line, but he still will fall. Luckily, bullets do sink into the Croc's hide, and that should just be the Baron going the way of WE, who now have probably the most stable advantage we've seen in the series.
Oh, they absolutely do, and the Baron is just going to stabilize it even more, barring like a miracle coming through here. This will belong to WE, and all 5 members are going to receive the Baron buff as well, so it'll make playing on these side lanes extra spicy for them, as Weibo are looking for maybe some kind of a pick on a side lane, but these WE members are super tanky, like we said. I don't know if you can burst them down.
You can try to. The burst on a Monki. He is the most fed member of the entire team. Look at Karis just raining damage with the bounces. And Cube is coming yet again like the Grim Reaper. He is just going to find another flank here, and Weibo have been knocked out of sorts, knocked a little bit dizzy, and knocked out of this game number 2.
Xiaohu will teleport away and escape, so at least one member of Weibo lives to tell the tale of WE surviving the burst, Monki specifically surviving the burst, and WE turn that fight around. Now with Baron buff, they are going to siege on multiple different fronts. Karis also having access to that Realm Warp means that he can join up if Weibo decide to overload, but you're not going to be able to overload with just 3 members at this point.
And a really, really awesome setup from Monki on this Lee Sin. I mean, he has just been running this game. He said, hold, I will carry. And he absolutely has in game number 2. WE, they're looking for their 4th win of the split, the 4th game win. And it's been coming a lot more recently for this team, who's starting to show a little bit more promise, even if it's not by much. The Hank going for a big play, but it gets almost instantaneously executed. Jiejie will take down Erha. There is the return play. The Hank actually made it out alive, so they did find the pick, but Jiejie was just still in 1v4 territory. Meanwhile, the rest of the members of Weibo are backing away. Elk doesn't have the clear speed to take down these minions, and he's getting chunked by the headshots of a bout. Oh, there goes the kick. I don't know if it's not. That's a little bit dysfunctional, but it's just enough to take down the Nexus turrets. Now they're focusing on the Nexus here themselves. The CC chain is there, and Weibo will be brought down low. WE find their 4th game win and bring us to 3.
The boys are in for 4. Mazel, 4th game win, like you said, and potentially on the precipice of a 2-series record for them. Be really exciting for a squad that had struggled in Split 2 for so long. And a shout out to Monki. If you want to talk about struggles in Split number 2, if you want to talk about a very up and down, very turbulent and tumultuous time here in the spring season of 2026, I feel like you have to look no further than the jungler of Team WE. I mean, bench for Tyrion at some point, kind of forced on vacation for a little bit, understands the stakes now at this point with his team having a really rough time, comes back and looks really good. This is his 2nd Lee Sin game of the split and his 2nd win on the champ. This might just be his character, Mazel.
It was Viego last year. It's Lee Sin this year, apparently. The guy has been a quintessential carry for WE, and it's nice to show him strut his stuff in this one, but some big head scratchers for Weibo. They just felt out of sorts this entire game and didn't get the snowball they wanted, and honestly didn't even look like they tried.
No, frankly, I feel like we wanted to see more early game action come out from Jiejie, and it looked like that might actually have been the case, right? Like that failed first gank from Monki, and that he is constantly getting counter jungled by Jiejie. I think he had a really good understanding of Monkey's pathing and was able to look for a bunch of counter invades onto him and just really constricting what this Lee Sin was capable of. But then Monki gets that first kill, and then he gets that second kill, and suddenly you're looking at the Pantheon, you're expecting him to respond to these ganks with the Grand Starfall, and nothing's really happening, right? We didn't see many side lane plays being made from Weibo. We saw the one onto Cube, and it was limited to like just that, basically, Mazel. So Weibo's comp had an identity, and I just felt like they did not stick to that. They fell apart, and when the team fights kind of rolled around, when it was kind of Elk's time to shine, the supporting cast, the supporting pieces to play around him just weren't in a position to do so.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaohu was like invisible this whole game pretty much, besides like the first parts of the laning phase. So obviously something expected when you have a Weibo series. You know something like this is going to happen, and I always knew this was going to 3, especially since WE has been performing a little bit better as of late. And good performances across the board. I think when you're looking at Erha's influence, some great tempered fates, some missed tempered fates, but a lot of impact, like you were saying earlier on, just his movement around the map, giving that vision as well and the information over to Monki to be able to dictate how he wanted to play the game.
Yeah, and you know, while we're on the subject of supports, like Erha had a really good game. I want to give like a slight shout out to the Hank. Like I felt like some of his looks, some of his pop blossoms, some of the moments that he had in game number 2 were pretty good. We have a pretty big spotlight on this player, given that it is his first series in the LPL. He's been in the LDL for quite some time now. He's been a developmental prospect on BLG Juniors, which is a program that has historically churned out some pretty good players in the past and has some players currently like Keshi and Heru in the LPL. So to see him have like a few good moments with those pop blossoms and really stick to his strength of engage, I think was pretty refreshing, but he's going to have to step up in game number 3. I felt like Erha kind of hit his stride here, and when this man is online, this man is really online. We saw it last night against the series with IG. Erha popped off when he was given the opportunity to, so it's a tall task for the Hank to live up to that, but he's going to have to if Weibo want to try and take this series.
I'm going to be, just for a split moment, a little bit of a negative Nancy on the Hank. There were some times where he was using his flash for these aggressive plays and wasn't finding the big engages, and then just kind of left himself out on an island. Like it happened like 3 or 4 times where things don't go right for him and he has no exit strategy. And I think that's something that the Nico obviously does inherently when you're looking for those big all or nothing engages. But I want to see if he can kind of at least keep himself a little bit safer as we move forward, obviously with a completely different pick in game 3.
And I am wondering how Weibo are going to pivot their draft here for game number 3. Like, Nautilus is still open and available, and I feel like that is one of the only engage supports that you can get away in this current meta with picking. So if they really want to put the Hank onto comfort and make use of his engage, and maybe give him some more survivability, right? You were just talking about that. Then I think Nautilus would be like a pick that I am looking out for game number 3. But man, they've got to start, you know, centering themselves better around Elk. Like, he had a really rough early game number 1, managed to bring it back. Game number 2, though, was just absolutely brutal. He's on this scaling pick, and everyone who is supposed to protect him is not able to do it. I mean, perfect timing on the highlight plays here. Elk is completely left alone. Monki finds a angle. Multiple members of WE found angles onto this Ezreal. There were several times where Elk was completely isolated, and I can blame Elk for that. Like, again, here's another one. But I also feel like the rest of Weibo are a little bit liable for stuff like that, just leaving their AD carry unprotected when he shouldn't be, and when he's really your only access to the late game. So going into game number 3, please play around your ADC and make sure that he is unharmed.
And for WE, keep playing around this mid jungle because they are looking real good today. I gotta say that the biggest lacking member for me so far has been Jiejie's lack of proactivity. I think he's had 2 very proactive picks and hasn't done much with them. The first game obviously went their way because they had some really crucial big combos as the game went on, but these are things that you're trying to get an advantage. And Jiejie himself loves to play with an advantage in jungle to take control, and you saw a little bit of that with some of the invades. So we'll see if that jungle matchup gets a little bit more put to par with that game number 3 on the horizon. But now we gotta start talking about MVPs. It's got to be Monki. I swear.
We were throwing a curveball.
Anybody
with Zika.
votes against him,
okay.
I will go nuclear.
I could understand Karis. I could.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank God. We don't have to explode. We don't have to crash out. We're good. We're saved. We're fine.
We're good. Yeah. But I guess while we have just a little bit more time, a couple more points before we do end up, looking to the horizon of game number 3. A lot of the crucial proactive junglers that we talked about that Jiejie has been really potent on over the course of the split are taken away, right? Like we've got the Jarvan is no longer there, the Nocturne is no longer there, the Pantheon is no longer there. Xin Zhao and Vi are likely to be banned in game number 3 if my pattern recognition is good, and if we don't see any differences, like large differences in the draft for game number 3. So you remove all of those away, plus the Lee Sin, which is kind of an X factor. What do you have left? I feel like this is going to put both junglers to the test, but especially Jiejie, because I agree with you, Mazel. He has been lacking that proactivity that we have desperately been seeking from him over the course of this series.
Yeah, indeed. So as we will see what we get for that game number 3 on that horizon, we'll be back after a short little break.